it's starting to like try to start dead last, Zach. Starting 7th. Hopefully we get a good jump. Yeah, that's why I didn't say anything. I mean, there's really no point saying anything right now. So,
You got a mic.
he's got like a 1.2 I rating, something like that. I said I'm not even gonna worry about it. Not gonna dog him from making a mistake.
Looks like you'll be
When you
lining up
got
behind it,
when you have guys that have lower I ratings, you're gonna expect those mistakes to happen. So that's why I don't say anything.
One to go. One thing to remember on these restarts, watch to your inside. These guys
Just
climbing
need a good
right,
start. That's
diving
all.
down inside, you're getting into turn
Need a good
one.
start.
But you can start working those tires in if you like. Make sure you get them good clean. All right, boss man, pace cars off. Be ready. Ready, green, 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 green.
The start I needed.
Inside. All clear.
Well, using the brake pedal for Rex is a good thing.
Nice, good luck, good
I was
job.
up to you,
Nice,
14.
keep it up.
Oh, and there he goes.
Inside, inside.
I don't know what
Clear.
Darren's doing.
Attaboy. Go get him, man. Caution, caution.
On the inside, that's a good thing. Especially third. Maybe I
Alright,
can
buddy.
time it and get in
Line up
front of Dylan
behind
here.
11. Pit road is open.
Just kind of let people wreck themselves. All you gotta do.
Wouldn't be surprised.
I looked at his account after.
How is it? 5:21. Hopefully this race will be done before Arca. That'd be great.
Pit road's closed.
What do you
I'd
think?
probably get past.
I don't know. You're on better tires.
Oh, I entered that way bad. I Larson lined that corner. Oops.
Just drop to 8th.
Yeah.
1 to go. Just watch your inside going into turn 1.
Alright.
We see that hero lock guys dive into the inside. There's a bag sitting here on the entry into turn 1. Try to avoid that. Get on the grill. Alright, boss man, pace cars off. Do your thing. Green flag. Working the outside. Still there.
Woo!
Clear high, clear high. Outside. Still outside.
Did it not? Did the guy not use the brake pedal?
Still there. Clear, clear. Outside. Clear.
Oh shit!
Clear up
Yep.
top. Caution zone.
My bad. That's my fault.
Earl, you sure you got your release mark correct?
This
coming
is
into the
impressive.
road? Yes, I do, sir. Guys, raise the
That's
blade,
my
raise the
fault.
blade, cut that so it's not slapping up. How bad is the damage?
I'm
Zero
glad he
close.
flipped. He's done.
Behind the 12. Pit road is open.
Whoops. Not having a very good time right now.
Line up behind the 12.
Enjoy the stream, Stu Car. Good luck next race, man.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, like I said, my bad. I made a mistake. I don't drive these cars enough to, yeah.
Anyway, Derek, I don't think you're here for it. He's got how much what he did to me.
Oh boy. Yeah, we're not
Guys
not
want to
doing
run
too
some
good.
green flag laps now, maybe?
Not really.
No, this is easier, right?
This is much less stressful.
It takes way too long, though.
I need to learn. What I need to do is start qualifying to every one of these
To those who
races
say
and
living-
get back where I was, which is about 7.5K. That's what I need to do instead of starting it back every race.
NASCAR Cup
That's what I
Series,
need.
Clint Boyer is hanging
Let
up
me
the
start
helmet
qualifying
and
for
heading
these
to the
damn
TV booth next season. And we're going to talk about how the Stewart Haas Racing driver lineup might change in
I mean,
2021.
anybody
But
else
first, you might have
got
noticed
anything?
I am out of town, as you can see, not in my usual studio. I don't know whose hats these are. These aren't my hats, but they're here, and I thought they looked kind of festive. So there we go, a bunch of hats. But hey, the show must go on, and at least I know that everything back at my normal studio is protected thanks to
I don't
today's
even know what that
sponsor, Swan. Before I left, Swan sent me their Enforcer security system, which I set up before leaving. And thanks to Swan, I know, even though I may not be home right now, everything I care about is protected. The Enforcer uses 4K HD heat detecting, motion detecting cameras, which I can check in on anytime using the Swan mobile app. You can find Swan's Enforcer security system at Menards and Best Buy. Oh,
Yeah, I don't know how they think.
I should have known he'd try something.
I think we're gonna call it on this race. Yeah, I think we're gonna call it. I don't think like this guy's done. This guy's back on the track.
Whew.
Pace cars off. Be ready.
Yeah. Well, big thank you to Swan for sponsoring this
what do you
episode
mean
of Out
make-
of the Groove.
you
In all
make
seriousness,
what are
we
you
do
talking
have some
about?
pretty big NASCAR. I guess he did.
I was
with
going
the
trying to make
people who
ARCA.
helped get him to where he is, who've furthered his career along the way, and he also announced what his plan is, despite his racing career being more or less
must have
over.
been
I'm not going to read
next,
every paragraph, but here is what Clint Boyer wrote yesterday.
That was not
He says,
next, though.
"Opportunity. Life is full of opportunity. For me, it began in the 6th grade. There was a converted school bus hooked to a trailer with an old Chevelle street stock car that was always parked right next door to my school. One day at recess, I snuck over and sat in that race car.
He
Man,
sent
was it
it?
cool.
Only
From that
gonna be
time
about
forward,
4
all I
foot.
wanted
The
to
end
do
of
was
the
sit
ship.
behind the wheel of a race car. After several unforgettable years of racing short tracks all over the Midwest, winning races and championships, I didn't know what's next, where to go, or how to get there. Boom, out of nowhere, I got a call that literally set my life on a course that I could have never
We
dreamed.
got some big time
Richard Childress gave me
retaliation.
an opportunity that led to racing
That's a
cars on the
protest.
greatest tracks in the country in front of a sea of fans for
Yeah,
16
14
years.
throttle got
He
home.
then lists many sponsors that have helped him.
It
He talks
happens.
about winning in Chevy, Ford, and Toyotas, which is quite impressive. He also mentions names like Richard Childress, Michael Waltrip, Tony Stewart,
Wait,
Gene
are you-
Haas, Harvick,
do
and
you
Jeff
know that for a
Burton
fact?
as people who helped him along the way. I'm lucky to have the opportunity to be a part of the
Well, it looks
NASCAR
like it.
family, the best racing series on the planet. For me,
Yeah,
the
I'm
greatest
ready
part
to
of it
pick his
all
foot
is
off
the
the
drivers. We'll beat each other up on the track, but we'll do whatever we can for each other off the track. I've had a lot of great
Okay, you were
teammates
being
that have pushed me to be the
sarcastic. I
best
couldn't tell.
I
I
can be.
couldn't tell
I've
if
had
you
the
were being
opportunity to share this
sarcastic or
dream
not.
with all my family every step of the way.
Oops.
The reality is, it was all of our dreams. Mom and Dad still roll into most every race in their motorhome, just like they did when it all started
God.
when we were racing on 2 wheels.
Like,
My
why
brother
is this-
Casey handles most of the business, and my brother Andy is my #1 fan. Having my wife Laura and my kids Cash and Presley at the track
What
with me each
happened?
week, and sharing the sport I love means everything
What?
to me.
Like,
Have I
why
mentioned
did
opportunity?
he like
As I've
rent
gotten
this guy in
older,
the first
I've realized
place? Like,
these
what did the
opportunities are
pink
few
card
and far
do?
between, and when they come around, you must recognize them. Just like the days before I got the
Freaking
call from
miracle,
RC
man.
standing in that
That's
Ford
too funny.
body shop, I've been racing
Oh
throughout
my
this year
God.
wondering what's next. Now to get to the point of what I want to tell you, I have a new
600
opportunity
lead
to do
left.
what's next
Like,
in my
I don't
life.
even know.
In 2021,
Okay,
my
so what
suit
happened
will
here?
no longer be fireproof. I will be joining the Fox booth
Started with
on
14.
Sundays. Just like my driving career, I will be a part of a great team and organization with great teammates. To say I'm excited would be an understatement. I want to thank every owner who has paid a
Wait,
bill
so
on my
what-
behalf, every crew
I
member who has
still
turned
don't
a
know.
bolt
He
on my
probably
cars,
got the
and every
wrong
media
guy.
member who has covered my racing career. Thank you to every sponsor that has
fine with
invested in
me.
me, and thank you to every fan who has cheered me along the way. Opportunity Fox,
I'm gonna-
here
I'm
I
gonna
come.
look this
A
whole
couple
race.
things to react to. Firstly, NASCAR is
Didn't do
losing
anything
out on
there.
one of its most charismatic racers, one of its most intense competitors on a weekly basis. So it is very sad to know that Clint Boyer will not be racing next season. Clint Boyer is currently 41 years old, and as we've seen in recent years, the age of retirement, or at least retirement from full-time racing, has consistently
Kyle,
gotten
do you
younger.
know
It
that
used
for
to
a
be guys
fact?
would race in the 50s easily, and then
You know that
mid-40s,
fact,
and recently it's
Steve?
even been early 40s for some drivers like Dale Earnhardt Jr. Carl Edwards, of course, is an anomaly, but now Clint Boyer at age 41, after 15 full-time seasons in the Cup Series, is hanging it up. So that is sad to see. I've always been a Clint Boyer fan. He's done some
Well,
crazy things.
good
Some
thing
of them
that
I
there's
don't
no
always
one else
agree
in
with,
here
but
to,
needless to say, he has been one of the most entertaining and most outgoing personalities in the
All right.
NASCAR garage
Well,
for many, many years. So it is going to be sad to not see him competing on a regular basis.
that's the
Now, Clint
case-
Boyer does have 5 more races to go in his Cup career, of course, and he is still in the playoffs and would be a pretty big weekend
how much
here at
time
the
I
Charlotte
got left?
Roval
I
to
can get
advance
these
to the round of
spots.
8. But if we look back at Clint Boyer's
I
roughly
can get these spots
15-year
real quick, I
Cup
hope.
Series career at this point, he's
Still got,
currently a
like-
10-time winner.
What?
His most notable season was easily 2012
I
with Michael
forgot.
Waltrip Racing, when he won 3 races that season and actually finished second in points. And if not for the Jeff Gordon incident at Phoenix
Oh, yeah,
that year, he
wait a
very
minute.
well
Wait,
might have
you're
been in
in this race
contention
too?
for the championship late in the race at Homestead. Clint Boyer is also an 8-time winner in the NASCAR Xfinity Series, and he won
I'm
the
confused.
2008, then I believe it was Nationwide Series Championship running for RCR.
yeah,
that was
I'm
back
gonna
in the day
get
when
these
drivers
free
could run
spots here.
full-time Cup and full-time Xfinity and get points in both. So Clint Boyer was the
Oh,
2008 Nationwide Series champion. Clearly a super talented driver. Like I said earlier, he's a talent and also a personality that will be missed on the racetrack next season and beyond. So definitely sad to hear that Clint Boyer will be retiring at the end of the season from driving. This comes just a couple months after he said publicly that he would like to keep racing beyond this season. He talks about opportunity in his essay, and perhaps that new opportunity with Fox Sports was too good to pass up on. Because now I want to talk about the sweet part of this
Why?
bittersweet story.
Yeah, I think
Clint
it's
Boyer is heading to the Fox TV booth next year, and we are all thankful for that, or we all should be thankful for that. Clint Boyer is going to
Biggest
more
question
than
is,
make
why
up
we
for
reckon?
the character that Darrell Waltrip took with him when he retired from the booth after last season. Because
Well,
I'm going to be
I mean,
brutally honest here, the
dude, I
Fox
want to start
booth
the
this year of
counter,
just Mike
like-
Joy and Jeff Gordon and Larry
Okay,
Mack occasionally
what's the
chiming in
leader?
wasn't cutting it for me. It was
Leader in the
stale,
lap
it was low
38,
energy, it
me
was
neither.
dry more often than not.
20
Clint Boyer is going to bring some much
22
needed
to go.
energy
Is there a
to
box
that
that
Fox
shows me
booth, and
22?
I
Oh,
think we're
okay,
all
never
going to
mind.
love what we see next year. I mean, Clint Boyer's going to add some, he's going to add
22.
humor, he's going to add some silliness from time to time, just like Darrell Waltrip did. I don't want to compare Clint Boyer exactly to Darrell Waltrip. He's going to bring his own spin to things, but Darrell Waltrip, for the 20 years or however long he was in the Fox booth, he was the personality. He was the Charles Barkley of
Yeah,
that
let's,
booth. And with him gone and Fox
three spots
experimenting
real
with a
quick.
two-man booth, it was just lacking of
I gotta
all
make 6
personality. I
rounds.
love Mike Joy.
We
I
can
think he's
finish
fantastic at his
these
job,
7.
but his job is not to bring in personality. His job is to tell the story on the racetrack in as entertaining a way as possible. And Jeff Gordon in the
hope we
booth has
don't blow
been
up.
fine. I think he's gotten a lot better, but his job is just to observe what's happening on the racetrack and talk about the driver's perspective. Give us a look underneath the helmet, so to speak. Clint
I don't
Boyer
even know
can
who the
fill that
wild
gap
card is
Darrell
in this
Waltrip
race.
left behind by being the character, being the personality,
Christian.
being the charisma that the Fox Sports booth desperately lacked this season. We got a glimpse of how entertaining Clint Boyer can be alongside Jeff Gordon and Mike Joy during the iRacing Pro Invitationals earlier this year when Boyer was kind of doubling as the in-race reporter. And my God, he was hilarious. I know those broadcasts were kind of meant to be a little more funny, a little lighthearted because it was iRacing for fun, not for points or anything. But that being said, I do think Clint Boyer's energy will translate nicely into the real-life TV booth
Looking at
for
my
real-life
tips.
NASCAR races. So I'm very excited to hear Clint Boyer is joining Fox Sports on a full-time basis next season. I think that's going to be extremely beneficial to their broadcast. I know some people may worry he's going to be too silly, he's not going to be serious enough, and it's going to make the broadcast in general look less professional. That certainly is a concern, that certainly is possible, but I have a feeling Clint Boyer is going to make it work no matter what. I think Clint Boyer will be able to make any adjustment he needs.
Yeah, there's only
I'm
6
confident Clint
people.
Boyer is going to be great for the Fox TV booth. I think this time next year, the vast majority of reviews of the Fox booth will be positive for Clint Boyer's involvement with Jeff Gordon and Mike Joy. So I'm extremely excited to see what he does in the TV booth next year. But yeah, like I said, definitely bittersweet because it is sad to know he's not going to be racing next season. But now we have to talk about the third big thing. How does this relate to silly season, which continues to roll right along? This week alone, Daniel Suarez has announced a new team. Wood Brothers are keeping Matt DiBenedetto in the 21 for another season. So now the 14 car for SHR. I would say a race-winning capable car for sure, and arguably a championship contending car is up for grabs. Now honestly, there are only a couple of names that I think are likely to get the seat. There's one clear front runner. Early in the year, of course, some of the speculation was that Kyle Larson might get a shot at that seat. That was before all the stuff that caused him to get suspended. Even since then, I think Tony Stewart likes Kyle Larson quite a bit, but it sounds to me Kyle Larson is going to Hendrick. I expect that announcement probably sooner rather than later. Something crazy might happen, but it sounds likely that's going to happen. So Larson, more than likely, is not an option. The only other driver I could think possibly landing that ride is Eric Jones, just because Eric Jones at least has a couple pretty big wins in his NASCAR Cup career on his resume. He's still young, he's still relatively cheap. I think he could be an option for the 14, but even I don't think is the most likely option by a long shot. I would expect in the coming days, maybe a few weeks down the line, I expect Chase Briscoe to be announced to the 14 car, which will be huge and certainly well deserved. Chase Briscoe has dominated the NASCAR Xfinity Series this year. He's had a total breakout season. He's a Ford development driver who Ford has invested a lot of time, energy, and resources into over the last several years. It would be ridiculous of them to not promote him into the Cup Series now that they have this clear
there's no
opening at one of their
tires.
main teams.
There's no
Chase
tires
Briscoe
that
has
anyone
8
thinks for the
Xfinity
Cup
wins
Series.
this year. He's 25 years old, which means he's a little bit older than some of the more recent rookie drivers we've seen in the Cup Series. But I honestly think that might play to his advantage, being a little bit more experienced. Like I said, he's been working with Ford in their development program for several years. Chase Briscoe has been one of the most fun stories to watch. I talked about this in an episode, I think, yesterday when I mentioned Alex Bowman. He's going to the 48 car, and Matt DiBenedetto, who's staying in the 21 for another year. Those are drivers that I think fans should gravitate towards because those are drivers that, in my opinion, had to earn those opportunities. They aren't getting a whole lot of help from a major sponsor who's just throwing money at them, or maybe a family member who has connections in the sport. Not saying any of that stuff is necessarily wrong, but when you look at a driver like Alex Bowman, like Matt DiBenedetto, or like Chase Briscoe, drivers who really don't come from a lot of that stuff. They are at a slight disadvantage compared to those who do have those advantages. When they're able to make the most of their opportunities and get these promotions and earn these promotions, I think fans should celebrate it. Fans should gravitate towards those drivers, and hopefully sponsors will as well. So I'm extremely excited for Chase Briscoe. Again, it's not confirmed yet, but I would be very surprised if Stewart-Haas Racing does not pick Chase Briscoe to drive the 14 car next year. I'm still happy for Matt DiBenedetto staying in the 21 car, but man, now I kind of wish Penske would run a 4th car full time because I'd love to see Austin Cindric and Chase Briscoe battle for the Rookie of the Year award next year in competitive cars. I think that would be really fun to watch. But now it looks like Cindric's not going to be
on the driver's
too.
side.
So at this point, I don't know if Chase Briscoe is going to have any rookie competition next year. But I'm super excited for Briscoe if this opportunity comes to fruition, because if he gets the 14, he's going to be a playoff contender next year. I don't know if I'd pick him to make the playoffs. I've said this before, but while his 8 wins this year in Xfinity are super impressive, and I don't want to discredit that in any significant way, I just can't help but think
Can we get a
about the
lap
fact
back?
that Xfinity is not as competitive this year as it was last year or the year before. Last year, you had Christopher Bell, Tyler Reddick, and Cole Custer
Wait a minute, is the 10
dominating.
on the track?
Briscoe was racing last year full time, and he got a win. He had 1 win last season. Still not bad.
It's a 10 on the track. He is not. Good. Oh, damn it. He is. I need a... Well,